I am Sam Otten, and with me is my friend Jason Book. Hey, Jason.
Hey, how you doing, Sam?
I'm doing well. As usual, we're here to talk about some DC comic books, and also, if you have a chance, check out Jason's web comic, which is at meandhimcomic.tumblr.com. But we're going to be talking about the new Superman issue, which was written by Gene Yang with pencils by John Romita Jr. And this is actually the fourth part, and it's wrapping up the Before Truth storyline, which is the events that lead up to the new kind of at least temporary status quo of Superman as depowered, haircut, T-shirt type thing. So this is the end of Before Truth. We've had in the last issue Lois doing the big reveal to kind of try to save Superman's life or save him from his torture, kind of electrocution type thing, from Hoarder Root. So that happened last issue. This is now the kind of fallout from him being revealed. So this is the first issue after him having his identity revealed. So what did you make of this issue and where this one kind of went?
Well, first off, we've had hit and miss, issues with this team, and then as well before with Jeff Johns with John Romita Jr. And when I saw the cover, I was like, "Oh, this does not look like we're off to a good start." But I have to tell you, once I started reading it, and once I saw how fast things were happening, I really enjoyed it. There's cool things in there with Superman that we've never seen before. Him like fighting with people, them using his name Clark and calling him Clarky. Cool little moments. If you're a Superman fan, like how he finally cuts his hair at the end and stuff. I really enjoyed it, and I think that if this storyline had actually wrapped up before we saw what's happening in Action Comics, I think this would have been a really great, like, wow, they actually did this, and then you had a little bit of a break, and then the next part started. I think it would have been received a lot better.
Yeah, I've heard other people say a similar thing to you. Like they would have liked to have it in continuity where you see the Before Truth, you see him get revealed, outed, and somewhat depowered.
Yeah.
And if people are trying to trace it all forward, at the end of this issue, when he goes to the motel or that hotel and he's cutting his hair, that's where the 8-page Divergence preview issue
Right after
fits
that.
in because there Lois visits him at the hotel and he's kind of surly and still upset with her sort of thing. So that plugged in. I thought that was a nice little connection.
Yeah.
And so now we can start to see, oh, this is all fitting in. For me, I didn't really mind the discontinuity. I didn't mind sort of seeing like, oh, he's been outed, he's dealing with stuff in Action Comics and Batman, Superman and stuff. And now this one's telling the story of how it got there. I didn't really mind it, but you could be right that if we had it in chronological order, it maybe would have even been better. And we would have seen it like building, we would have seen him revealed, and then we would have been like, oh, now what's going to happen next? Then now that he's depowered and outed.
And if there was like a gap where we had to wait for the Action Comics to start the storyline, like a couple months or something, it would have been very cool.
Yeah. Next up, they say they are going to all be in alignment with each other. So if you are reading the other books, we basically have it all converging around these three people that have some sort of nefarious plot. So Vandal Savage, so spoilers, it's too late now, but Vandal Savage, Wrath, and from here, Hoarder Root. Those three seem involved in a larger plot that's going on, and now the books are going to continue on in that one. They say that the books are still going to be independent. You can just follow one and you'll have a full story, but they're going to actually be in the same continuity now.
I really liked seeing Superman fight people like when he's walking down the street and they're just coming at him and he's in his Clark Kent gear and like fighting like full out and basically having no escape from being Superman anymore. Like it was very well done. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I actually would say too I enjoyed this issue. Somehow I don't know if I just have gotten used to John Romita Jr.'s art. I've never really liked it, but I think this issue, now that I'm like 12 or 13 issues into his style, I've sort of just gotten used to it where I can just read the story and take what's happening, and I didn't get pulled out of it as much. When I looked back through it, there were still some moments where I'm like, man, that doesn't look very good.
Yeah, but it had some good fight scene kind of things and storytelling.
Yeah, there was stuff that worked okay, and it didn't really pull me out of it as much as usual.
Yeah.
I agree, though. It was definitely intriguing to see him taking down, what's the Royal Flush Gang and just coming at him on the street. Yeah. And they are thinking, oh, he's depowered, so we're just going to take him on. But I thought it was nice that he's not fully depowered. He still is bulletproof, and he can still throw a really good punch.
Yeah.
So I thought that's good, too, where we as the audience are trying to figure out how depowered is he? Is he totally depowered, or where is his power levels?
That's true.
And they were the same way. They thought he was depowered, and he's not. And then I really liked the Livewire stuff. John Romita
Mm,
Jr.'s art style I thought actually fit pretty well with Livewire in the
that's
Daily
true.
Planet building.
Yeah, and I love the planet stuff too. So you finally get this awesome part where Perry White knows that he's Superman, and he goes, "Take off those damn glasses," and like slaps him off his face.
Hmm.
That's classic to me. Like we've never seen that in a Superman story before.
Yeah. And some other people, Superman fans, were complaining in some of the other books, which are already in the Truth, storyline, that
Okay,
Perry he seemed too negative, and Perry was being too hard on Clark. But now we see like, oh, he got shot, so you
totally.
might not always be thinking straight, or it might take you a while to get over the fact that you got shot and you're
Sure,
angry and you feel a little bit betrayed by your friend or
and
your
I
coworker.
yeah, and I love that he says to Lois Lane, "You don't make a story like this and put it on social media." Whatever he goes, "I want a printed proper story tomorrow morning." Like
Hmm.
this is the biggest Daily Planet paper since Superman died for them to sell, right?
Yeah. And I thought
Yeah,
that's a really nice connection to Gene Yang's theme that he's doing with the social media, with the
that's
information
true.
age. And that brings it right back where Perry's kind of from the old school and Gene Yang is flirting with the newer technology, newer information type stuff.
Yeah, I think if they keep this up and worry, like I like the overarching storylines of what's going on in the bad guys and everything, but the issues that have been the best so far is when they have a good mix of all that other stuff with the Daily Planet, the supporting cast,
Yeah.
and that really seems to be the key to this team doing good stuff.
And now the supporting cast is going to have to fit in differently now because he's
Yes,
outed, but they can, I think, still definitely play a role.
totally. We haven't seen much of Jimmy Olsen this issue, anyways, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I think I have this feeling that he is going to stick around in a pretty big way, but yeah, there's a little bit of a down tip here with him.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see what happens next. I hope we've had our ups and downs with this arc, but when you end on an issue like this, I hope they can keep the momentum going, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely curious where they're going to go next. I like how they're tying together now because I actually have been reading all the books, so I'm looking forward to this. Vandal Savage, what he's got going on. Do you have any guesses on Hoarder Root's father? So at the very end of this issue, we get this tease about Hoarder
Yeah.
Root definitely has a kind of a father complex.
No, and honestly, like the Harder Root, when you finally see what they look like, I was like, wow, I was expecting them to look different even too. So I don't know. It's kind of an open book, which is cool with a new villain.
Hmm.
I hope it ends up being something that lives up what we want it to be, or something that is something they bring back and forth throughout the storyline. It doesn't have to happen, right away.
Yeah.
And once again, that crystal part where he's cutting his hair, I love that because it reminded me of something from like the Superman movies.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's an interview with Gene Yang where he talks about Hoarder Root's father, and he says that the father is a known character in
Oh,
DC,
interesting.
but he wouldn't reveal, who it was. But he says it will come out in the next arc, so I'm kind of
Weird.
curious. I don't really have a good guess of who it is, so I'm just gonna have to read and find out.
Better not be Cyborg or something like that. Another
Yeah, I feel
computer
like it'll be a
character.
villain, but I actually really don't know at all. So,
Yeah. Oh, that would be crazy. But yeah, no,
Are,
I mean, a lot better on this issue, I would say. Hey?
yeah, it's definitely just fun to see what's happening because it's a different situation for Superman. So, see how
And
it goes.
yeah, and I really think this team, like, I haven't been reading the Action Comics. I'm sure that Greg Pak and the other guy is doing a great job. But something about the Romita and him, like, seeing it go through all this, and then, okay, now he's really depowered, how they're going to deal with that. It kind of reminds me in a way of the Spider-Man stories where Spider-Man would be walking around and people knew who he was for a while and he'd have to fight people every second of the day. Maybe this could really do well with Romita.
Yeah, that could work. So,
Mm.
all right, cool. Well, thanks for checking it out with me, and I will catch up with you on the next issue.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.